Hey, good morning, my friends. We're going to have a great morning. We're talking with Travis Linn this morning of an exciting group, Township and Range. I've got to hear Travis perform and met him at last year's Tulsa Route 66 Road Fest. And I was really impressed, and we've been talking quite a bit since then. And his group has a new album out and a Kickstarter campaign to bring it all to fruition. His new album is 66, all spelled out. And I'm going to be really excited to talk to Travis this morning. And we got a couple other things, as always, we're going to discuss. We're getting closer, as you know, that with Podbean suspending live stream and my uh, like me being trapped in a world of Model A Ford era technology, these transitions and changes become a tad bit of a challenge to say the very least. But I think we're getting closer, and we're going to try to have this up and going. And well, it should be a entertaining morning. Let me see if I can pull this off. Uh, Anybody who can join us today. The next project will be to get this uploaded to Spotify and other groups when I after publication. Well, let's see if we can get Travis here, and we will get the program going. Still a little bit rough around the edges, a tad bit of the old, I don't know, Mayberry or Hee Haw. Of course, now that's for another generation, I realize, and let's see what we can do here. I want to thank everybody who keeps supporting us in our endeavors through Patreon and just being a part of the shared adventure that is Jim Hinckley's America because, well, we do like telling people where to go. And we do like sharing stories. Oh,
You've reached Travis and Osage Orange Publishing. Please leave a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.
yeah, Travis is tied up there. He'll be with us in just a moment. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for Travis, I want to share this with you. I met with Marian Pavel and Jan, the creators of the Route 66 navigation app and the Route 66 passport. Mr. Travis, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Good to hear from you.
Yes, Travis, God bless. You know, I've been eager to do this, and you and I have talked a few times in the last year. Been waiting for you to get your new album up, and uh, I met you. I was just mentioning met you last year at Route 66 Road Fest in Tulsa, and got to hear you perform, and I was greatly impressed.
I think you may have had me confused for somebody else. I did not perform last year.
Oh, was it the year before that you were at Tulsa?
I haven't, and I asked about this year, and evidently they're not having music.
Gosh darn it, Travis! I thought that's where we met.
We chatted after you spoke.
Ah,
chat.
okay.
And I think I was like, hey, I'm making this album, and I really want people to know about it, especially in the centennial year.
So, God bless. How are you doing, young man?
I'm hanging in there. This whole new album thing and my Kickstarter campaign and whatever else is keeping me really busy. And in the next 3 weeks, I have 3 Route 66 events to perform at, including Capitol Cruise.
Oh, really? In Tulsa?
Yes. 5 a.m. load-in time.
Oh, my.
Yeah, but it's going to be incredible. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, like I said, I knew we visited last year in Tulsa. It all runs together sometimes. I I do
I
apologize for
understand.
that. Thank you for sending me a link for your Kickstarter. I was listening to some of your music again there, and I'm impressed. Really impressed. You've got a real traditional flair, and I like that. I like that very much.
Oh, thanks. That's what I'm going for. I really sort of twisted things a little bit on this new record. I wanted to sort of expand on my sound because my previous two EPs were really kind of stripped down, and I just wanted to make this a little more epic.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this, Travis?
Oh my goodness. I was in my first band in 1992 in college, like playing out and performing at, clubs and bars and wherever else. So I've been at it mostly since that period. I've had a few years off here and there for grad school and whatever else, but I've been keeping my nose to the grindstone. I probably should have quit about 15 times, but I'm either too stupid or too stubborn.
That's the way this goes. First of all, I didn't really think you were that old. You look much younger. And second,
No, thank you.
second of all, just think another 10 or 15 years, people will be talking about you as an overnight success.
I hope so. Yeah, an overnight success that took 25 years or 30 years or whatever it's been.
Yeah, that's I can relate to this. I could definitely can relate. I admire good musicians. I've always had trouble playing the radio, let alone an instrument.
That's what my mother would say. She's like, I can't play anything but barely the radio.
Yeah, that's it. But boy, I tell you, your music, and I've got the website up here, and I will, when I have this published later on Spotify too, we'll have the website for your official website as well as your Kickstarter campaign. Your Kickstarter campaign, how far do you have to go?
We're still shy about $800. So with 2 weeks left, I'm really hoping we can meet the goal. I'm just going to keep posting on socials every day and hope more people get reached. I'm sending personal messages to people. Social media only gets me so far, I think a lot of just person to person is where it needs to be.
Yeah, that's a real interesting thing there, social media. We've got a whole demographic of people that feel it's just perfectly fine to take an ad out in the local newspaper. And the flip side is people who have so-called embraced technology, they feel that the end all is social media. But nothing beats face to face and personal touch.
For sure. And I miss that. I think everything's really impersonal these days. And like I said, that's why I've been really trying to get, and again, press releases, I've been slow about trickling those out, but some people just don't get back to me, or even trying to book 66 festivals. They don't know me, so they're just kind of like, who is this guy? And don't just give me 30 seconds of your life to say yes or no to your festival or whatever. That's all it takes.
Well, you said there's a couple of things there, and I know I'm going to sound like one of the old farts talking about back when I was a kid, but impersonal. Social media, all these things have created kind of an personal world, and as a result, I think that's one of the things that drives the popularity of like Route 66, because it is real, it's tangible, it's about the people. And the other part of what you were saying there about people not getting back to you, that I got, boy, we could turn this into a therapy session, but I have a real problem with this, especially in the age of instant messaging, text messages, everything else. If you don't want to talk to me, send me a text, tell me to go to hell, something, anything, but don't just ignore me, blow me off.
That's exactly how I feel. And anyone who messages me about anything, sometimes I sort of forget, put it on the back burner, but I will get back to them. I met a nice gentleman in Kingman last year. I got done playing, and he came up and chatted with me. He was a musician who toured some as well, and he sent me a little video he took and whatnot. And I was like, oh, I got to get back with this guy. And then like a month later, I was like, oh shoot, I got to get back with this guy from Kingman. And I finally did. And I was like, I am so sorry for the delay.
Yeah, there's egg on your face, and I have to do that all the time. But I'd rather have somebody get back to me a month later with a sincere apology, and there again, instead of just ignore me.
Yeah.
And it seems to be endemic. It's not just artists and musicians and authors who are going through this. Trying to get a roof on your house, trying to get anything done. People just.
Oh, absolutely.
I think maybe they've just got too much money and they don't want more.
Right. My money's good. If I contact you for something, my money's good. Believe me.
So you're not going to be out in Kingman either this year, huh?
It looks like they sort of changed the music stuff up for that as well. Like last year, they had a slate of music kind of all day on stage, and I was set up by myself by the front entrance performing. And this year, it looks like they're just going to have one main band in each evening, and then some other music DJ something. And I was kind of like, oh, all right. I wanted to go back out to Kingman and play again because I had a good time. And again, meeting people, chatting with people, chatted with the vendors there, and just I had a friend who lives in Phoenix come up to see me play, and then we stayed for the headliners on Saturday. So yeah, I'm kind of missing out on that.
Yeah, that's now it's starting to. Gosh darn it! I don't want to sound like I'm getting that senile, but yeah. After we talked there, I can't remember where I did hear your music there in Tulsa. Anyway, gosh darn it, we got to find a way to get you a little more exposure because your music needs to be heard.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It really does. That probably won't buy you any groceries down at Safeway because of my endorsement, but
I'll take it.
Yeah, I really am impressed with your music. I lean towards when I'm working here in the office, I usually just run a random loop from YouTube music, and it gets kind of bizarre. I'll be listening to Tchaikovsky and Vivaldi, AC/DC, and a little Mean Mary and Joan Baez all run together after a while. But I lean towards your style of music, Mean Mary, and what you're putting out, and more traditional kind of country and folk music. That's kind of where my heart's at.
Yeah, I have eclectic taste in music, and I've played in all kinds of bands, from ska bands to punk bands and things in between. But I grew up in central Oklahoma. My granddad was from Missouri. He was an Ozark fiddler. My dad was a big bluegrasser. He played dobro. He's the one that taught me a few guitar chords when I was young and sent me down this path that I'm on here now. So my parents listened to a lot of bluegrass and honky-tonk music, and that stuff just sort of seeped into my soul. And that's really what I like to do, is write songs in the veins of, I don't know, Jimmy Rogers, Woody Guthrie, Hank Williams, whatever,
the old Tennessee blue yodeler. Hey, I operate on a simple premise, and I think I get the feeling you might as well. I believe that we're all blessed with gifts and talents, and we have a responsibility to develop those to be a blessing unto others and enrich their lives. And the money, well, it's important, but it'll take care of itself. It'll come along. And if your heart's right and you've got a passion and a talent, which you seem to have in spades, it's going to work. It's just a matter of time.
I appreciate it. I try. I have a guitar in my hand just about every day, even if it's for just 5 minutes. I'm working on a song idea or trying to come up with a new guitar riff or something.
So now, am I correct in understanding that you actually performed a little bit on stage, toured with Dwight Yoakum?
That is correct. I did not write the songs for that band. I was merely the bass player, and I spent most of my musical career as a bass player on bass guitar and on upright bass. And the band I was in, we won some awards, and we came to the attention of Mr. Dwight Yoakim. And in 2015 and 16, we went out on the road with him every other month, every couple months. He doesn't go out on like these long tours. He just sort of goes out for weekends and does 2 or 3 shows. And that's what we did. He would be like, hey, we're playing in Paducah, Kentucky, and Columbus, Georgia, and Hiawassee, Georgia. Want to go out on the road with us? Sure. So we all crammed ourselves into vans in Omaha, Nebraska, and drove all the way down to Columbus, Georgia at one point.
You know, the life of the musician, somebody, even when you really start breaking into the industry, it's a lot like rodeo. It's a good living if you don't plan on living long.
Yeah, he paid us well, but it was one of those things like the gas money, the hotels, that stuff added up. But usually we got paid when we divvied it all up and got back home. The really great thing is, though, I quit that band for some personal reasons, not with the bandmates, but other personal reasons in my life. And the guy who replaced me was starting a family. And so the leader of the band, Matt, asked me to come back and join them for one show with Dwight Yoakim at the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa.
Oh.
And I'm a huge Buddy Holly fan. And I just could not believe I was standing on that stage where Buddy and Richie and the Bopper played their final shows.
Oh my gosh. That would be what an opportunity that would be.
Oh yeah, like I said, I couldn't believe it. And I was just there most of the time going, I hope Buddy would like what I'm doing.
So who else you got in your band with you?
There's really nobody right now. I had a little combo put together when I was in Omaha, and it was one of those things. Sometimes it was 4 of us, sometimes it was 3, sometimes it was 2, sometimes it was just me. I've had a couple other collaborators here in Tulsa, but nothing's really worked out. Even though he lives 2 hours away, every once in a while, Mr. Jeremy Morris plays some harmonica and sings back up with me. We just did that in Joplin a couple of weeks ago. So it's always fun having him on board. He's a high energy guy.
You're based in Tulsa?
Yes, I live in Tulsa now. I said I grew up in Oklahoma. I went to college in Nebraska. Ended up marrying a Nebraska girl. We moved to the East Coast for a while. Moved back to Nebraska. I've been divorced for maybe 10, 12 years now. And after COVID, my parents were both older and not in the best health, and I decided to move back to Oklahoma to be closer to them.
Mm-hmm. Tulsa.
So yeah, now in Tulsa.
Tulsa's a great city. You know, I'm one of these fellas. I have trouble. I start to feel claustrophobic in any town with more than 3 stoplights. But Tulsa, man, I like what they're doing. I like the feel of the place, and there's an infectious excitement and enthusiasm in Tulsa. So that would be a good place for a musician such as yourself, because you can draw on that energy.
Yeah, there's certainly a vibrant music scene here too. And again, with 66, you know, we're the self-proclaimed capital of Route 66 now. So there's that. And it was one of those things, like I just kind of wanted to put them together, you know, like, and I think the other thing with Tulsa is being this mid-sized city, it's sort of like most of the time you get overlooked for larger cities in the region, whether it's Dallas, Kansas City, whatever, you know, and I think it's one of those things where you just sort of have your hometown scene and you sort of stick to your roots and you try to have that energy to boost yourself above some of the larger cities and some of the things that they can do that just kind of comes easy to them. because of their population size.
Right. You mentioned being from Oklahoma. Where at in Oklahoma? Yeah, with hometown.
I'm from a little town. I grew up out in the country mostly, but I went to school in Tecumseh, which is by Shawnee, which is about 30 miles east of Oklahoma City, right off of I-40. So, I mean, I tell people I grew up 40 years from Oklahoma City because that's what it felt like in the 70s and 80s. I mean, we had a party line out in the country well into the 80s.
Oh, God bless, man of my own heart.
we were out in the sticks for sure. You know, sort of at the time, there were things I didn't enjoy about it, but looking back on it, I'm glad that that's where I grew up, that I got to grow up out in the country.
Is that out towards Henrietta, Oklahoma? Not that away?
Henrietta's a little farther east down the road, and Okima's even between us and Henrietta.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah,
I think I know that country a tad bit. Yeah, that's good country. You know, when you're a kid, you don't appreciate fill in the blanks, but when you look back, guys, darn the. And I know it's corny, especially since we're talking about country music and all, but there's just something special about growing up in small town, rural towns, and farming communities, ranching communities. There's just something that there's something special about it that gives you everything you need to make it in life.
I learned a lot of lessons. We had some cattle. That was not our thing. That was my granddad's. Hey, I'm gonna have some cattle out here on your property it was for personal consumption. But I loved going out with my granddad and feeding the cattle. You know, like moments with your grandparents, those kinds of things. Again, sure. I look back on very fondly. And he had this ooga horn that he set up in his pickup truck to call the cattle. And I loved it. Sunday mornings going out there and hitting the ooga horn, and here come the cattle. That's their call for feeding time, you know?
You know, there's something about that Oklahoma country, those small towns that it seemed to be fertile ground for music. You know, you had Gene Autry kind of got his go working there in Oklahoma. And of course, out there in Eric, Oklahoma, you had
I was just about to say, yep.
Roger Miller and Sheb Woolley out there.
Right, yeah. Oklahoma's got a great musical heritage, mostly in country. I mean, my neck of the woods, the Queen of Rockabilly, Wanda Jackson's from around that area. You know, and she was a country artist as well.
Sure.
And we could talk Tulsa music, you know, Leon Russell, and I like Dwight Yoakim and Phil Seymour. I like power pop music too. They always sort of get overlooked because they're like kind of 70s and 80s guys. But so much here, even jazz, the great guitarist Charlie Christian is from Oklahoma City. I mean, it's wonderful. And I sort of draw on all of it. It all inspires me.
Yeah, well, that's another sign that you're not only you're talented, but you're gifted at this, because you do draw on you feed. It's like some fertile soil. You know, you draw on this, what other people have done, and you don't try to take away from their shine, and you're just trying to build on it a little bit and create your own.
Exactly. I've always tried to have open ears, and you know, I call myself Americana or roots, because I feel like folk and country, those terms sort of carry this connotation that sort of turn people off immediately, some of them. So yeah, it is Americana. Like I said, I grew up on bluegrass and honky-tonk music, but I like blues stuff. And as you hear on this album, there's some boogie woogie, there's some surf music, there's some rockabilly. Again, I just kind of throw everything in a pot and stir it up and see what comes out.
Are you familiar with Mean Mary's music?
I am not, but you mentioned it, so I will definitely check it out.
I will do better. I'll send you a link.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, this is an impressive gal. I'm just, her music is, I just in awe, impressive. But I'll also send you a link to her bio. You talk about a backstory and growing up different, rural. It's pretty impressive all the way around. I'll send that to you. I think you'll find some inspiration in that.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, please do.
You know, it's a great, and also it's something else. I noticed this when we talked in Tulsa. You're a man of my own heart. You pronounce Missouri properly, in my personal opinion, and I'll probably get lots of hate mail over that. But that's that's the way I was always taught.
Again, I think that comes from my one of my grandfathers coming from the Ozarks. You know, it was Missouri.
Yeah, I'm originally from North Carolina, but
okay.
I've been out in this country so long. I'm one of the dry roasted nuts. I live out here on purpose and kind of stuck.
I was on another podcast a month and a half ago. It's a musical, and this guy from St. Louis goes around and he does state by state, and he picks like 3 or 4 artists from a state. And you know, I got to promote my new record on 66, and I was telling him about when I moved to New England. You know, I never quite realized how much of a Westerner I was until I got to Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I never see a sunset. Like, what? And the sun just goes down beyond the top of the trees, and that's all you get.
Yeah. And
you know?
The other thing, when you get up on the far East Coast, especially the Northeast, it almost sounds like they're speaking English.
Oh yes. We encountered some people with some really, really thick New England Yankee, and Maine sort of has its own, you know, the has its own thing up there too. And yeah, every once in a while I was like, wow.
Well, if we get you back out this way, I don't know how we would get you some money, but I got a couple of venues that I think would be just perfect for you. We got the old 1906 Sportsman's Club downtown. It's right on Route 66. It's our version of a dive bar, but it's it's pure time capsule.
I had a drink there last year. I got done on, maybe it was Friday night, and I went downtown, and the brewery was closed up already, and they were like, just go down to Sportsman's. And so I went down there and had a drink, and it was a nice evening, and stayed out on the patio. So yeah, I'd love to do that. There was a place in Flagstaff that offered me a gig the Sunday before, and I was like, I cannot afford to just spend a week hanging out in Flagstaff before I go play in Kingman. I appreciate it, but I can't do it. And I tried to set up a little tour for myself last year. Again, people just ignore me. There were a couple places I talked to. Yeah, we'll get back with you. Crickets after that.
Yeah, it's kind of like I wouldn't be paranoid if they weren't out to get me. It's
right.
Yeah, it's real easy, but please don't feel like the Lone Ranger. I get this all the time, this kind of thing, and it's crazy. Since you're familiar with Sportsman, and I did miss you last year because I was on the road. Short version, long story. Doga is a heavy metal, hard rock, just headbanging band out of Slovakia, Czechia. And they were doing a couple of years ago a free concert series. They wanted to do it along Route 66, and it was they were being filmed for a documentary back in Poland, Slovakia, Czechia. And they got a hold of me, asked if I could help find some locations, and I put them up I got them set up in the Sportsman down here in Kingman. Well, what became kind of interesting, apparently wires got crossed, and they put out the word there was going to be a band, an award-winning band, and a few other things, but they neglected to tell people where these people were from or the music. And so we ended up surprising people with this place, standing room only, with heavy, hard metal people singing in Slovakian or whatever. It was kind of entertaining to watch the look on people's faces.
I know they played around Tulsa here, and an APB went out for extra microphones and gear and stuff like that. And I was leaving town, and I dropped some gear off for them, and so I missed them. But I think that was a great idea for them to come to the States and do their little tour along 66.
Well, Travis, anything I can do to help, holler, because the worst that happens is I just laugh and say, well, that ain't happening. But,
okay.
but
Yeah,
I really do believe in what you're trying to do here and what your skill set is. Okay, what's your day job? How do you support the music habit?
I am a freelance graphic designer, and with AI encroaching on things, it's not the easiest these days. And I see more and more AI slop popping up.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
I don't want to go to a diatribe about AI slop, but like music, graphic design, people always just sort of want your stuff for free anymore. Like you haven't spent time honing skills or going to school for it or whatever else. It's just, you know what? If you have a budget, I will try to work with your budget. I'm not going to be like, well, that's $1,000 for one social media post or something. No, that's not.
But the graphic,
that's not what I do.
The AI, and I'm a fellow that's most comfortable in the world of Model A Ford technology, but I started writing books with a typewriter, so the word processor is a dramatic improvement. But the AI it's a tremendous tool. It's a wonderful contraption, and every time I get it tinkering with it or playing around with some of it, scares the hell out of me because of what you said. I can see it putting so many people out of work. There's so much slop being created, so much deceptive stuff being created.
There's that as well.
Yeah, and it's not good. But it's kind of like same with writing. There's the taste and value in writing is just it's always been thin, but it's just almost disappeared entirely. I recently had a situation with a newspaper, and of course newspapers are kind of dead, but it was a Western newspapers conglomerate, and they asked if they called me in. They had bought up all these newspapers, and they were asking if I would do a weekly column on area tourism, regional tourism, things of that nature. We started getting down to brass tacks. They actually seemed shocked when I asked them about compensation. Their response was, I thought you would do it as a community service. And my response was, Safeway doesn't accept community service for groceries.
Right. And as a musician for years, do it for the exposure. It's I've been doing this for a while, and exposure doesn't pay the bills. Long ago in the 90s, I had a bandmate book a solo tour up on the Pacific Northwest, and someplace in Idaho paid him in muffins.
Oh, yes. God.
And our band motto became, you can't put muffins in a gas tank.
The next time people tell you that you ask if you'll do this for exposure, tell them I played in a nudist colony. I've had all the exposure I needed.
Right. I've made some jokes along those lines before, and I'm like, this day and age, I may get called out for being too distasteful or something. But,
if they got no sense of humor. Yeah, we could turn this into another therapy session where we get together with photographers, writers, musicians, and we talk about how we've been paid or not paid, and some of the strange venues we've ended up playing in and performing at. For me personally, I had a speaking engagement in Michigan some years back. I was actually doing things in Illinois, so it was just a short hop. Supposed to be a museum fundraiser. And imagine my surprise. It was going to be an automotive museum in an old 1909 auto factory. And I showed up November, Michigan. Half the roof was gone. There was no electricity. So I competed with a generator outside. and they had to move the chairs down to the other end of the building because part of the roof was gone and it started to snow. It just, yeah.
Oh my. I don't think I've had a nightmare quite like that performing as a musician.
I've had worse. I've had worse.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I played last year in Kingman on Friday night. A good monsoon came up and started blowing vendor tents away, and it poured on me and my equipment. And I was just like, I come to the desert and it pours.
Yes. Isn't that great? Yeah. You start to ask yourself, Lord, what am I doing wrong here?
Yes, and my t-shirts were like blowing off the table and like landing in puddles, and it's like just trying to keep performing and keep everything together. But you know what? It's a story I'm telling right now. You know, no one was hurt. It happened, and you just got to be prepared for pretty much anything.
You do that. You know, I think that's another reason we artists, photographers, writers, and musicians. Another reason we do this. It's kind of like the old beat me. It feels good when you quit. It's you kind of get used to it, and it's kind of. Hey, I have to ask, where did you come up with a name for this, Township and Range?
Oh, again, that's sort of my rural upbringing. My one of my grandfathers had a old county map, I think, from around Oklahoma statehood in 1907, and we were just looking at it one day, and it had the townships and ranges on there, and he's like, well, here's where your other grandparents live, Township 4 or Range 13 or whatever it was. And he's like, and here's where you live. Here's this township. Here's this. You know, he's teaching me how to read the map and find different places around the county that I was familiar with. And when I was trying to name this project, I was like, what can I do that is representative of me and what I'm trying to do with this music? And I finally ended up on Township and Range with the ampersand. I am very strict about the ampersand. I think I just like the way it looks. That's really my explanation. So my website is Township ampersand Range. Because if you just type in Township and Range into a search engine, what are you going to find? All the stuff about public land survey system and et cetera, et cetera. No, you went to find the musical artist, Township and Range. And I didn't start this until about, I don't know, I think I had turned 40, and I had all these songs that my other bands, they were songs that weren't really quite right for some of my bands. And so I was like, I'm just going to start doing this on my own.
Yeah. Well, and the name is also, not only does it spark conversation, which gets you a little attention, but it's also a tribute to your roots.
Yes, most definitely. I like that. I spent my time and sort of came up with something that was, like I said, representative of me and where I come from and what has influenced me.
Well, will you be in Tulsa towards the end of June?
I should be. I plan on attending Road Fest at least one day.
Okay. I'm supposed to, of course, you know how these things go. Ever since COVID, long-term planning is what are we doing today for lunch? But I'm supposed to be in Tulsa for Road Fest. So it'd be great if our paths crossed. We could sit and chew the fat a tad bit.
Yeah, I really enjoyed listening to you speak last year, and I've been meaning to get your book. I've been so engrossed in getting this album done that my everything goes towards creative energy, basically. And I don't get to read a whole lot because I'm busy writing songs or trying to wrangle people to get in the studio to help me perform or whatever else. So, I mean, I don't know if you've listened to the song yet, but there's one on the album, Bloody 66.
Yes.
And it's about the auto how dangerous the road was. And people don't really think about that. I don't think a lot. Again, there's the over romanticization of Route 66, and it was a dangerous highway with curves and hills. And I mean, I find it kind of funny that one of the dead man's curves is basically in a cornfield in Illinois.
Well,
yeah,
how
do you miss the curve here?
I'll tell you, you've got to be about my age, right about 70, to have a real connection to Route 66 when it was Route 66.
Mm-hmm.
And I've spoke on this a lot. My folks used to tease me at inopportune times that I was potty trained along the road, but we drove the road pretty much at least once a year in the 60s. My first trip west was in 59. And my brief career in truck driving was right at that transition period, late 70s, early 80, when Route 66 was 66 and I-40. But we have a tendency to see Route 66 today in the context of neon and tail fins. And it was so much deeper. The Green Book for the Negro Motorist, all these different chapters. But as far as Bloody 66, I always tell people, if you want to know what Route 66 was like, pick any road in your neighborhood, any old highway, that's a paved county road or state highway, 2 lanes. Now picture 1 million vehicles plus a year on that road, and you'll get an idea of what Route 66 was.
Yes, indeed. Where I grew up, there's old State Highway 18, and there's still the modern Highway 177 sort of took its place mostly south of my hometown. But my uncle lived off in the rural area, and when we pulled off the highway, there was this other strip of pavement. And my parents were like, that's old 18, and some of it still exists. And they would drive me on it, and I couldn't believe how narrow it was and winding through the hills. And even as a child, I was like, I can't believe people are driving on this, because I was used to, 2 and 4 lane asphalt.
Yeah. When you were out here in Arizona, did you drive 60, get a chance to take a little side trip, go up to Oatman by chance?
Oh, I definitely did. Did. And that was fantastic. And I know some people are very afraid of that passage, even just in an automobile. Yeah. But you just take it slow, and it's hard not to gawk because the mountains are beautiful. Yeah. And coming back to Kingman from Oatman, burrows. I came around this curve, and a burrow, like a deer, came off of like a 30-foot cliff right down into the road in front of me. And I was like, I'm glad I'm obeying the speed limit here, or probably going under 25 mile an hour speed limit. I was like, okay, yep, got to be careful. There's a lot of hazards here.
Yeah, that old road, I don't think a one-eyed blind man can take a bad photograph out there. And
I took so many photographs. It was crazy. Pulling over and just like, I'm going to take 10 photographs from right here.
The other thing that's kind of nice going to Oatman, it's nice to see that not all the asses are in Washington. But it's, the scary part, and this is kind of therapy to tells about me. I literally learned to drive on that road. I learned to ride a bicycle and to drive out there. And I mentioned 1 million vehicles a year. In 1939, the Arizona Highway Department, for the first time, clocked 1 million vehicles entering the state of Arizona on Route 66. And after the war, that number increased dramatically. And that road through Oatman, of course, then it's a mining town, so you've got that traffic. But that road was in use as Route 66 until 1952. You can imagine the traffic on that thing.
Yeah, and you mentioned the 30s. I've never looked into it, but what would be the breakdown by year of Okie migrants headed to California?
Yeah. Who knows? Surprisingly, there was almost no record of accidents with fatalities during those years, and I credit that because of the traffic. If you've got 1 million vehicles on that road, you're not driving very fast. You're not driving fast anyway, but it's going to be just nonstop traffic,
Right.
bumper to
Right.
bumper. Yeah, the road of migration, that road's pretty incredible. That road was put in 1921. The old road is just below it. The National Old Trails Road was the original, and that was Route 66. The road we used as Route 66 was put in 1921, and it was put in to alleviate the old road, which had grades of 26 and 28%.
Unbelievable. And I've read the stories of back in the day, the gravity fed gasoline, where on the Oatman Sidewinder that they had to drive the cars backwards.
Yeah, that was mostly Model Ts.
Okay.
Because Ford was notoriously cheap. He just kept taking stuff off cars that he didn't think you needed, and one of them was gravity feed. Most cars by the late teens and into the 20s, they either had some sort of a fuel pump set up, or they had a vacuum tank that would you'd have vacuum, so it would consistent pull. But the Model Ts until 26, 27, the gas tank was under the seat, and so you got no fuel pump. So those steep grades, you're going to do it in reverse.
Goodness. Jim, I wanted to get back to something we said earlier. We were talking about things being impersonal, but my evolution of becoming sort of a 66 fan has been kind of slow and piecemeal. But when I went back to school for graphic design, I got my internship at Hatch Show Print in Nashville, which is now housed in the Country Music Hall of Fame because they're inextricably linked. And on my way back to Omaha, I stopped in Springfield, Illinois, and I was just there to do Abraham Lincoln stuff for a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
One day I'm looking for a casual place for lunch, and I see Cozy Dog. I'm like, oh, on Route 66. This is cool. So I'm standing in line. I'm like the 10th or 12th person in line. I'm looking at the Waldmeyer postcards and stuff like that. This gentleman sidles up to me and asking me some questions. And I was like, this is kind of odd, but okay. He seemed innocent enough. And it was Buzz Waldmeyer.
Oh, Bob's brother, sure.
And he was like, my parents started this place. I owned it. Now my children have it. And my order came up, and we slid into a booth, and we sat there and chatted about Route 66 for 30, 45 minutes. And again, that's one of those things. I was like, this only happens, kind of on 66. Yeah. It's the people it's the friends you made along the way.
Yeah.
Really. And so I had to memorialize that with my song Cozy Dog.
Yes.
That's on the record. And I wanted to give it a little rockabilly 50s kind of feel. So that was a great experience.
You find this kind of thing in small towns all over America, but Route 66, it's expected. And it's all about the people. There's just a magic about Route 66 that you end up talking to people from Germany or a cafe owner, or it's just it's astounding. And even when you get off Route 66, even in Europe, people who have had the Route 66 experience, they carry that home with them, and you'll find yourself sitting in a tavern in Belgium, and a guy will come up to you like Buzz did and start talking to you about Route 66. Next thing you know, you got 4 or 5 people, talking about the road and Midpoint Cafe or Angel's Barbershop. And it's quite amazing.
It really is. And like to think that a highway that's been decommissioned since the mid 80s still has that grip that 66 put on not only Americans, but the world.
Yeah. Well, Travis, I want to thank you for taking time this morning. I'm going to send you some links and I've got your links here, but I'll do a blog post and include information about your crowdfunding. And I hope to see you in Tulsa. And anything I can do to help, just give me a holler. But thanks for doing this morning, because people think I'm amazed that people say, "Oh gosh, you must be really tech savvy. You build website, your website, you do this podcast." Oh, I have no clue. I just push buttons till something works or breaks, and somehow, I'm having to evolve this. I was doing pretty well with Podbean, and they jerked the rug on me. So I'm trying a different route, and somehow Jim Hinckley's America, our network through Patreon and the sponsors we have like Roadrunner Lodge. I've built a network of passionate people passionate about road trips and the great American story. And some months we're topping 600,000 people with reach and engagement of our programs. So I don't know how the heck that happened, but thank you all. Sure appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for having me. It was a real pleasure. And again, I hope I see you in Tulsa at the end of June in a few weeks.
And you find yourself out this way, I'll give you the 50-cent tour of Kingman.
Oh, I would love it. I wish I could have spent more time kicking around Kingman last year, but I was occupied.
Yep, working holiday. Sure, I got you.
Yep.
Mr. Travis, you take care, young man, and thank you so very much for doing this.
All right, Jim, thank you.
We'll talk to you soon, my friend. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care.
Guys, you know what? Yeah, it's kind of a lot of fun talking to him. Before we started, I was kind of hitting a few bumps before we got Travis on the phone, and but I'm still working the bugs out of this. Anyway, Route 66 Centennial Passport. These are going to be showing up all along the road. Mari and Jan and his team are on the road now. These are passionate folks about Route 66 and the Route 66 experience. This is going to be a great souvenir for the Route 66 Centennial. I wanted to call that to your attention. Yesterday, I had breakfast with a good friend of mine, Walt, docent at the Benelli House Museum in Kingman. If you find yourself in Kingman, I highly recommend you check into the Benelli House. It's only a few blocks off Route 66. This doesn't help much as far as a landmark, but it's across the street from the old Methodist Episcopal Church, now a county building, where Clark Gable and Carol Lombard married in March of 1939. And how do you find these places when you're in Kingman? Kingman Tours. Narrated, self-guided historic district walking tour that uses QR code technology. Website's very easy, kingman.tours. Can't be easier. Yesterday, I had breakfast with Walt, talking about the Benelli House, and I had a chance to visit with the one and only Anne Slanina, and we discussed her latest book in the Annie Mouse series, Annie Mouse's Route 66 activity book. This is being sold a lot along Route 66. This is not so much a gym show, but Route 66 is getting a ton of attention, and I hope we can build on this to ensure that Route 66 is celebrated in the highway's bicentennial. The centennial is definitely fueling interest. This is via the latest episode of AAA Magazine, and thanks to Will Grant, well, I got a little bit of honorable mention here. Hey, my friends, you know what? Well, this is not perfect. We've still got bugs and problems, but we're just going to keep going. We're going to keep doing. We're going to keep working on this. And with your help, we will make this a success. I want to give a shout out to some of our great friends and sponsors, David Brenner at the Roadrunner Lodge Motel, Dina Nelson, State Farm Insurance here in Kingman, Arizona, Sam Murray, Gilligan's Route 66 Tour, Stephen and Chantel, Road Trip USA, bestow the U.S. and Canadian Road Trip Adventures. Great folks there. And, of course, Austin Coop, Tulane America. Couldn't do this without you. And, of course, our listeners who support us through Patreon. It is greatly appreciated. My friends, I'm not sure what we've done all here this morning, but I, for one, really appreciate this and opportunity to get together with you on Sunday morning, and I hope you'll find this as interesting as I do. And with that said, I will bid you adios, and we will do this again next week. Well, we'll see what happens. Get that little music here from Joe and Woody and the boys of the road crew. I think we got that.
Say hello to a
Take care,
new
my
friend
friends.
on an old road. Take a 2-lane trip of memories into mysteries unknown. Come along for the ride. Jim Hinckley's America. Jim Hinckley's America.
Adios, amigos.